There's new Tailscale integration coming to OPNsense. You won't need to compile it from source anymore. You'll be able to click on plugins and install it directly as an OPNsense plugin package. Simply type in Tailscale, find the package, and then hit install. Once installed, moving down to VPN and then selecting Tailscale, you'll be able to select authentication to set the login server if you'd like to use Headscale, set your authentication keys. There's a settings page to easily add new settings to Tailscale, and of course a status page. This plugin is still under development. I wrote it and I'm happy to bring it to you. This video isn't sponsored by Tailscale, it's not sponsored by OPNsense. I've wrote this and I haven't been paid to do it.
Sheridan Computers, IT, Communications, Support.
So normally to install Tailscale and OPNsense can be a bit of a pain. It usually involves SSHing into your router, drop into a command shell, and then the first thing you need to do is install the FreeBSD ports, because it doesn't exist as an OPNsense package, which would involve basically running OPNsense code ports, downloading the actual FreeBSD port tree, and then you'd need to go into the ports directory for Tailscale, and we'd need to manually install Tailscale. Compiling from ports is a little bit tedious and it takes a while, especially on a lower powered machine. Once you actually had Tailscale installed, you had to use a command line to configure it, using like Tailscale up command, as there is basically no way to configure it from the OPNsense GUI. That is until now. As of OPNsense 24.7.11, Tailscale will be included in the OPNsense packages, so you won't need to mess about compiling from source. So I'm on version 24.7.10. As I mentioned, this is not yet available. 24.7.11 has not yet been released. So that's scheduled to be released within a week or two, I assume. So I'm just going to copy this repository just so I can get the plugin installed. With that out of the way, we've now got the package installed. From 24.7.11, you're going to be able to go into System, Firmware, Plugins, and then you'll be able to search for the Tailscale plugin. It's included here. I've got it installed. So a misconfigured and unknown repository, as I say, because this is not a supported way of installing it. Once we do that, under VPN, you can see that we now have Tailscale. 3 options from Tailscale. We've got authentication, we have settings, and we have status. So what we're going to need to do is go into authentication. We have the login server. Now, somebody on Reddit asked me to put this in, so I did. I'm assuming so they can use it with Headscale. And you need a pre-authentication key. So to get the pre-authentication key, obviously we have to do that through the Tailscale portal. So if I head over to Tailscale, you can see that we've already got one machine here, which is my phone. So with that, we're going to add our new one. So we want to go on to settings, and we're going to use keys, and then we want to generate an authentication key. You can ignore the expiry for a minute, we'll deal with that shortly, but if you're obviously using OPNsense with Tailscale, you're probably not going to want it to expire. But I say we'll deal with that in a second. Ephemeral, if we set that, it will be removed when the machine goes offline, so you probably don't want that. And then we've got tags. So this isn't a Tailscale tutorial, I'm just trying to show you how the plugin works. So I'm going to generate a key, and then we're going to copy that. I'm going to head over to OPNsense, and then we're going to paste that pre-authentication key into the correct field, and we'll just hit apply. So that was pretty quick. All it did was save it. Now if we go into settings, and we enable, so obviously we're not enabled anything at this stage, we've literally just saved the pre-authentication key. So if we choose enabled, we can leave the default listen port and options for now, and then we apply that. And you can see that we've got an indication up here to show us that Tailscale is now actually running on OPNsense. So if we do status, you can see we've got the version, ton adapter we're using, the backend state's running, has a node key, and we can see our Tailscale IP, which is 164.166.2. And if we look at pairs, when we list the pairs, now we can see this one says localhost, and it's Android, so it's my phone. It doesn't know much information about it. And this last scene is not the last time that Tailscale saw it, it's the last time that OPNsense saw it. And that's just what that field's set to. If we need to change it or add both, we can do. Net check just runs the Tailscale net check command. So you can see your IP address and the latency between servers. So that's handy information to have. If we head over to Tailscale, we can now see that we've got our OPNsense demo. and we've got Sam's phone. So brilliant, we've got them both online. Before we go any further and start advertising subnet routes and exit nodes and things, there's one more configuration that we need to make within OPNsense. And if we go into interfaces, assignments, and we basically need to assign Tailscale as an interface. I'll call it what you want, TLSC for example, add it, and then save that. Once we've got the Tailscale interface assigned, we can go into firewall, rules, sorry, we need to enable it, interfaces, TLSC now appears, so we're going to assignments, assigned it, and this description that we give it here, the interface, is now here. And now we need to just enable the interface, and the rest of it leave. Don't enable any other settings, just enable the interface and leave it that. Apply those changes. Once those changes have been applied, we can now go into firewall, rules, and our Tailscale interface. We want to add a rule here. So I'm going to add a pass rule in IPv4. We can set that to IPv4 and 6. And apply that. So all we've done there is basically add a rule that allows OPNsense to talk properly to the Tailscale server. This is not where you can block subnets or do anything like that. You need to do that within Tailscale access lists. This basically just allows OPNsense to talk properly with the Tailscale infrastructure. So add the allow any on it, and now if I go into VPN Tailscale and settings, I want to advertise a route. So I'm going to do advertise subnet route, which is 69.0 for this. We put lablan. And I've tried to make this interface as easy as possible. So we can do that, apply those changes. We can add multiple routes in if we want. And these are basically the routes that we're advertising to Tailscale that other machines on the Tailscale net can access. So if we go back into Tailscale, you can see that our OPNsense demo machine is now showing that it's trying to advertise some subnet, but it's not going to be allowed unless you actually allow it within Tailscale. So if we do review, and you can see that the subnet that I put in is now being advertised, we can go ahead and save that. And if we wanted a exit node as well, we can also go ahead and tick advertise exit node. If I apply that, you can see it updates pretty much instantly. So we've got this exit node here. Again, we need to approve that, which will allow other devices on your Tailscale net to use your OPNsense box to tunnel all traffic through. And again, you'd use access controls under here. I'm not going to go through this. We'd use access controls within Tailscale itself as opposed to within OPNsense. As I say, this is not a Tailscale tutorial. I'm just trying to demo the plugin. So if we go into there, we can see routing settings. Let this device route traffic for your tailnet. So it's being advertised, and now we can just do use as exit node, and that will now basically allow us to my mobile phone to use OPNsense for routing all traffic through. So it's still showing localhost on here. With that, I should be able to access the web interface from here. So if I go into Tailscale, I can see OPNsense demo on 164.166.2. I copy its IP address. So we're on ifconfig.io. So you can see we're on our IP address is 3194.3176. So let's see if we can get on our OPNsense box, and we can. So there's the OPNsense web interface. Okay, so as I said, when I went on to ifconfig.io, our IP address ends in 176. Now, what I'm going to do is go back into Tailscale. I'm going to enable exit node, OPNsense demo, and our IP address should change to Starlink because I'm actually on Starlink here. So So I'll go to this and refresh the page. So you can see that we're now using Starlink, so all traffic is going through the OPNsense box. I'm not sure why this is still showing localhost for this. Last seen, maybe that's a bug in the thing. Let me try restarting the service, see if it makes a difference. Nope, not sure why it's showing up like that. If you find this plugin useful, please, there's various ways of supporting the channel below. You can join and send a couple of quid a month. This product has been asked for a couple of years. Even Tailscale asked somebody, they wanted someone to contract somebody to do it, and they didn't. I found a use for it, I needed it, I coded it, I put it into OPNsense, and I brought it to you. Consider subscribing to the channel, hit the like button, tell your friends.